It's morning in the Philippines. And good morning, everybody. And this morning, I'm just going to capture a little video about a basic, very cheap meal that you can make in the Philippines. And I just thought it might be interesting. You might be thinking, well, how can I really save some money on meals and on eating and my grocery bill in the Philippines? Well, we can save some money here, and it's just by making a cheap meal. Here goes. The secret to a lot of cheap meals in the Philippines, obviously, is rice. There's your rice. So we're going to start with that. But having said that, everybody knows that some of the building blocks of a cheap meal is just garlic, onion, and for this dish, tomato. And I'm going to try a little bit of potato, which is not normal in this dish, and just a couple of laboyo peppers. But this is the key. This is the core of the dinner, or the meal, is lamia tuna. It says flakes in oil. And this is, wow, I think I got the wrong kind. I like the spicy kind. I've only had it twice, but I kept seeing it at the store and on TV. They would talk about it. Let's make a meal real quick with it, see what it's like. First, I'm going to smash the garlic, and then I'm going to pull off my skins. I'll cut off my ends. I'm going to make some sinigang too, so to go with it, I need a little bit more garlic than I really. You only need about one piece of garlic for this tuna dish. So you just start chopping it up. I like to slice it long ways first. I'm no expert cook. This is just, anybody can do this kind of stuff, and it'll save you tons of money as opposed to going out or eating prepared foods. Then you just start chopping it. This is the process. Get everything off of your knife. I kind of like to line it up like this. Basically repeat the process. Clean your knife back off. Rearrange your garlic. Chop again. And little by little, clean your knife off again. Little by little, you're going to get your garlic chopped small enough where that's just where you want it. I first seen this technique when I was in Pampanga, one of the first times I was in the Philippines. Well, it was the first time I was in the Philippines. And in Pampanga, they're known for their good food, and they are. They're really good cooks. A lot of good cooks here too in Iloilo. I'm gonna push that up here in the corner. I'm pretty much done with that. I'm gonna rinse my knife off. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna grab my onion. Now this is for the tuna. I used to wonder why why they grow these little onions, and I'm not sure this is the reason why, but this is a reason why they are handy, because you're going to make a small meal just for yourself, and you get out a big white onion, and then you chop it up or chop half of it. Then you got to preserve it somehow. Put it in a Ziploc or put it in a Tupperware container. For these small ones, you can just cut up one. You're done. Now this is going to cook down, so I'm not really too worried about it getting it super small. So it's going to cook down. I like to cut my onion, and I know this isn't the approved method. This is just the way I do it. But I don't cut that section. It kind of helps hold the onion together, and I can kind of dice it like this. Ooh, I got myself. I got two ingredients. I'm going to put them on a plate. I've got a really cheap tripod here, so the camera work isn't beautiful. I'm sorry about that. I'll put my garlic right there. I'm going to put my onion right there. Sibuyas, bawang. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna start working my tomatoes into the mix here. I got three of them, and yes, these are green. I don't know what it is, but I've noticed here in Iloilo, the little green tomatoes are pretty popular in dishes. And again, this is going to be cooked all the way down, so not a big deal. But you can find some red ones if you look for it. And again, they're small. I like to kid my wife. I always say everything's small in the Philippines, including you. There's two. Cut out the stem area. Oh, got away from them. Maybe almost too much, but we'll see. I like to slice these pretty thin because I want these to cook down almost where they're not recognizable in the dish, which just means you simmer them and you put a lid on them and they'll simmer down real nice. But I like to cut them thin. Oh, wow, that's much better. I had to sharpen my knife a little bit. This morning I got up and made my coffee, hopped on the bike, just went across the river to Tigum. They have a little market over there and picked up these tomatoes. It's just nice. It's like nothing will wake you up in the morning, like getting on a bike, just taking a little short trip. It just seems like you need all your mental faculties. I'd already had my coffee. I was good to go. It just kind of wakes you up and gets you kind of in the rhythm of the Philippines and the rhythm of the day. And I've just about got my tomatoes done. I'm going to put them on the plate. What I've got next is this potato. And potatoes, as a rule, are not like the Philippines' go-to food, but hey, I'm American. I love potatoes. I can't help it. And I think it comes from back my grandmother. She came over to the United States from Germany. She was an immigrant. And in Europe, potatoes are a big deal. So I used to go to her house and, corned beef hash or corned beef is very popular here. But my grandma used to make it with onions and she would chop up little tiny potatoes just like this. And of course, she probably would peel them. I don't care. I eat the peels. She was a better cook than me for sure. But I'm just kind of making a mess of this and I don't really care because, again, these are going to cook down. I'm going to put a lid on them. I'm going to make these babies submit to my will on this dish. And basically, this tuna right here, it's basically it's the same dish as corned beef hash. I'm just making it with tuna instead of corned beef, and it's going to be good. Again, if you get the spicy one, it's much better. I should have caught that, but I didn't. So this is all the potato I'm going to put in there, and so I'm going to get that in the skillet. So I put a little bit of oil in there. I'm just really trying to soften these potatoes. I've got it turned up on high. I'm going to put a little bit of salt. I love the asin or the rock salt in the Philippines, sea salt. In America, we're always fancy. We're like, oh, I got to have sea salt. No, they get it right out of the sea here. No frills. I'm going to get a little bit of oil up on this stuff. I'm going to put a lid that doesn't fit on there, but that's what I'm using. Put in this other pan. I'm going to go ahead because I can do two things at once. I'm going to go ahead and put some oil down. I'm going to put my garlic in there. I'm going to brown that garlic and I'm going to make some sinigang. You see us do this on the property. It's a lot longer process because you got to build the fire. So you want to get that garlic up in the oil. And again, this is a super cheap meal. I like to put that garlic right in the middle. You really wanted to get it in the oil so it doesn't really burn. You want to get it all nice and flat. It's sitting right on the heat. This process doesn't take very long at all. And you can see these are already heating up. I just keep that lid on, keep that pressure on. When it starts cooking like that, it kind of looks like it's jumping up and down there. You want to toss it. So you take your spatula, toss it a little bit, bring it back in. And it's going to start to turn slightly brown. And there's even a couple of them that I can see in there that's already starting to turn brown. So you really got to watch it. You got to be ready to take it off the heat and get it out. You can kind of see it. It's kind of bubbles up. It's all making the same motion. It's really good and hot when it's doing that. You can see like these on the edge, they're already starting to get brown. You really got to watch. And I've got it on high heat because I'm impatient and I want it to be done. But you can see there's a lot more brown in it right now. See it right here? It almost kind of forms like a cohesive, not a paste, but it's like one unit. And when I'm waiting on this, I'm going to stir that just a little bit. I can smell those potatoes now. Here we go. We're just about done. You see that brown? Some of it's not as brown. We're talking seconds. And I'm shutting the heat off because it's done. Now I'm going to get my rice. I'm going to put in here Turn my heat back on. I don't know why I shut it. I'll be back. I'm going to leave those in there for now. I'm going to create a little space. I'm going to put them on the outside where they're not under the intense heat so much. And I'm going to come in here with my tomatoes and my onions. And I should have saved some of that garlic for this. I didn't do it. It's not necessary. But my philosophy is, why don't we put garlic in everything? I think it's a very healthy philosophy. I'm going to put just a little bit of water because that water will create a steam, but I can burn it off later. But I'm going to put a lid on this, and that's going to steam this stuff in here. I think that tuna can is like 30 pesos or less. And the synagogue, I can hear it over here kind of popping and cracking. That's what I want. I want that rice to really be cooked, and it's kind of a dry, and to get the moisture out of it mostly. I'm trying to get the moisture so it doesn't come off in a wet clump on your plate. Considered pretty good synagogue if you can do that. And this is already simmering really nice. So to give you a little bit of an idea of what it's going to cost, and I don't have the exact figures. If you're looking for exact step-by-step on everything in my channel, I'm just trying to take you through my experiences. I'm not really trying to give you a complete how-to guide on everything. But I did look up the can of tuna, and it's about 34 pesos. It's not even $1. And the ingredients, I bought all those ingredients this morning. I had the what is it? I had an onion already, which that doesn't cost much. That's 50 pesos per kilo. I bought the tomatoes, I bought the potato, and the whole thing is less than $2.50. And I had the rice. I'd made the rice yesterday, but you can figure rice is about between 50 and 60 pesos per kilo. And by the time you cook it, it expands. And so it's a very, very cheap meal. On the synagogue, you just want to keep it under heat, keep it on the heat in a skillet. And I just kind of I'll show you. I just kind of put the spatula in there and I just turn it, draw it back. You just want to keep turning the rice over and over, just every once in a while. And you're trying to get the water. You see the steam coming up? Well, not much steam coming up. It's pretty dry right now, so it's almost completely done. But you don't want your rice full of water. I'm going to kind of do the same here. Set that lid down. You can see the tomatoes are starting to soften a little bit, and you can kind of smash them, push them down. That's what your Filipino would do. So I want to mention, if a person wants to support the channel, how would you do that? Well, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, there's a little black button that says join. And you don't need to be scared of that button. You don't have to do it. You can always watch for free. But if you do touch that button, it will bring up a menu of different options, amounts that you can actually support the channel. The first one is 49 pesos, which is less than $1 per month. And it's very simple. You can do it through PayPal. You can do it through credit card, however you want to do it. Just for example, one of my favorite YouTube guys is Camping with Steve. He's a Canadian guy who does camping, and he's a stealth camper. You probably heard of that. And he'll camp in places where maybe you're not supposed to be. He don't want to be found out. It's interesting to me. So I've supported him like $3 a month for a couple of years. And so that's what I do. And this is kind of the same thing. You just hit the join button. If you want to do that, go down right now so you don't forget. You know, you're going to forget. If you're like me, you're going to forget. So you can do that. Also, another way you can support the channel, I'm going to put up a link in the description down below. I'll put a link down in the below for a company called Christian Filipina. The only place that I would recommend if you want to meet a Filipina online, this is the only place I recommend. And there should be a banner coming up about now. And if you're interested in that, it is a way of narrowing your search results or just trying to come over here haphazard and try to find somebody that you can have a relationship with. You got to think about it. You know, if you can talk to people, if you can message back and forth, if you can see the picture beforehand, you know, you have a lot, you cast a lot wider net than if you just try to come here to the Philippines, go to the mall, go to the market, and just try to meet somebody. And, you know, if you come here for a couple of weeks, you think, well, I can do that in a couple of weeks. Well, you're going to be so doggone busy that probably it's not going to happen. And your range, instead of casting that wide net, that range is going to be so much smaller. That's a couple of ways you can support the channel. There is a PayPal link. It says PayPal me. You can PayPal directly to the Philippines Project. You can even PayPal monthly. You can do a one-time gift. And so that's 3 ways you can help the channel. Now, I'm not getting rich on this channel, but and I'm not at all. In fact, I'm not making any money. I'm almost breaking even, which is cool for me. But yeah, I mean, these are 3 ways that you can do. So back to the video, if you have one. I'm gonna put in my laboyo peppers here in a second. All right, here's my laboyo peppers. Now, pro tip on laboyo peppers: you don't want to get these things all over your hands because they're hot. But you take a pair of scissors, and you may do this at home with jalapenos, fresh jalapenos, whatever. But if you cut these things with the scissors, and then you rinse off your scissors, your gunting with water, wash them. You won't get all the. You won't. Oh, I got to scratch my eye, and pretty soon you just about put your eye out. I got it down pretty good. I turned off my rice. Over there, I turned it off, and it's just going to sit there in the pan. It's nice and dried up, kind of like I want it. You don't want it too damp. My tomatoes are translucent. My potatoes are soft. I've got my can of tuna. It's got a lot of tuna juice, for lack of a better term. I pour that in the pan, and I get all the tuna out of the can. But all my water that I put in earlier was gone. That kind of the water that's the water and oil, whatever it is that the tuna is packed in, it is oil. It helps. What I discovered yesterday by doing this, pouring the whole can in there, it makes like a really nice gravy. And I like it hot and spicy. I put the laboyo, but you can buy it. I bought the plain. I don't know why. I just didn't look. Sometimes I'm just in a hurry. That's a downfall of mine. But I'm just going to get this set like this where my lid will cover it. I'm going to let that simmer for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'll be done. I almost forgot to film eating the meal, or at least tasting the meal. This is what it looks like when you get done. And you just add a little bit of, you have the sinigang, you have the rice, or you have the sinigang, you have the egg, and just a little bit of the tuna. It's actually very delicious. If you watched this far, I really appreciate you watching. Go down and subscribe, like it, help spread this video around. I'll see you next time.